Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the Knowledge Broker Show. My name is Rick Albert. I'm a realtor and investor here in Los Angeles, and I have with me the amazing Hamilton brothers. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so my name's Tel Hamilton. This is my brother Stetson. We run the Hamilton Brothers team here in Southwest Colorado. We're a part of the Blackmore Group, which is a small independent, boutique style brokerage, mainly focusing on the mountain town of like Durango and Dolores.
Nice. Okay, so today we're going to talk about second home sales. So it was recently reported by Redfin that sales are down across the United States by at least 50%. So, and they're citing things like higher interest rates, but also people are going back to the office, right? So they don't necessarily buy that second home to travel. What are you guys seeing? What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, so we run in two different markets. We got a luxury market we run in La Plata County, which has Durango. It's a small mountain town. That's where we sell primarily all of our second homes. Then we got another market, Montezuma County. That's more blue collar workers, about 45 minutes away. La Plata County, we really aren't seeing a reduction too much, to be honest with you. If anything, we're at the same level or maybe a little better on the second homes. Montezuma County, a little different. Second homes are really rare there, but for instance, we just put one under contract about a month ago as the second home from Denver. So it's rare there, but we're still seeing it. La Plata County, especially, not seeing a big reduction, to be honest, and it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
We can't complain too much. It's prices haven't even sloughed at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in our market, we're not really seeing necessarily price reductions. It's just less people. Like I have some clients that want to buy in like the mountain, right? Up in the mountains, it's called Big Bear. But it's
Right.
also kind of like, well, what's the idea? Oh, well, we can rent it for Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the off times we get to use it. But even on the Airbnb side, we're seeing a lot more inventory, right? It's a very saturated market. So it's almost like, well, you're not going to make as much money as you might think they used to be able to.
One thing with our secondary home market and the same where we have the short-term rental crowd that comes in and buys luxury home is we're starting to see the regulations come into play where
Yeah.
our towns don't quite allow it, or maybe you have to get on a wait list. And so that I would actually say has been the biggest adjustment for investment properties out here that are also second homes is you have to buy in the right areas because you can't have that short-term rental in some areas.
Yeah, and one thing I'd really throw in there when I see those headlines, right? Second homes are down. Our market, especially in La Plata County, I think these are true second homes, and we're not on the larger luxury stuff. We're not seeing Airbnbs. Be honest with you, a lot of these people aren't even getting mortgages. We're doing a lot of cash deals, and I definitely, when I see those headlines, I'm like, we're definitely looking at people using that advantage of a second home for Airbnb and stuff, just like you said.
Yeah. And then that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up, because I'm always curious whenever I see home stats like that. It's like, well, is it that it's down 50% from, last year, or are we going back to normal?
Yes.
Right. I mean, look at totally off, but like the Peloton bikes, right? Like, oh, their stocks, everything went really high. It's like, well, of course it went high. People were stuck at home. They need to ride bikes. Now people miss going to the gym.
Yep. Yeah, we seen this. We seen the same statistic with foreclosures, right? You're like, oh,
Right.
we're up 100 and something percent, but yeah, that was compared to 2 years ago when there was no foreclosures. We're not talking about levels of 2008.
That's such a good point. One of my first jobs was actually buying properties at the courthouse steps.
Oh,
No.
yeah. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore here.
No, I don't even know anyone who's doing it now.
No, no, no. We in our small little county, the most I've ever seen on a foreclosure list, I think we had three the other day. And most of those will get remediated, and they won't actually go to foreclosure. But for us to see three, I was like, holy cow, that's a change. But in all reality, it's nothing.
Well, yeah, most people have equity in their homes, right?
Exactly.
So like you're better off just selling and cutting your losses that way than it would be to actually go through that process, have it hurt your record.
100%. Yeah, if you bought it pre-2020, you're in pretty good shape.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I tell people if the market were to crash, it's just a paper loss.
Yes.
You don't have to sell. So I think kind of bringing it back to the second home market, it's kind of the same thing. If people are really concerned, oh, I don't want to invest in it, it's like, well, if you're getting use out of it
Yeah.
and you're getting enjoyment, then kind of go for it.
Yep. I would definitely say what we've seen is the people looking for Airbnbs, like you've said. Last year, we had a ton of people touching base. We see a lot of flakes. Would never really turn into anything. It's just like we call tie kickers here in the country. But definitely this year, you're not hearing that same tune of we're looking for a short-term rental or anything like that. That is definitely slowed down.
Now, for the second home market for you guys, where are these buyers mostly coming from? Are they just coming from like Denver or Colorado, or are we talking like out of state? Because we
So,
get out of country.
right. And we do have a bit out of country. We're dealing with one, we call them FERPAs here in Colorado.
Okay.
But most of ours clientele last year, of the 16 deals we did, 8 of them were out of state buyers, and 4 of those were Texas, and 2 of them were Arizona.
Yeah.
And so we have a really big correlation to like the Phoenix market, because we have what we call snowbirds, where when the snow comes here, like this year when we saw record snowfall, they kick feet and go to Arizona where it's warm. And then our Texas investors, a lot of the guys are just looking for a mountain town.
Yep.
Because they're living in oil country of Texas, making great money, but it's not scenic like here in Durango.
Interesting, especially because like where are they going to go snowboarding?
Exactly.
Yep.
And we have one thing that really has set us apart, and I think is the reason our marketing or our market's doing so well, is last year Forbes came in and said, hey, Durango, Colorado is the best affordable ski town in Colorado. Because we're an hour away from Telluride, which is the mecca of Colorado real estate, where homes sell for $30-40 million every day.
Yep.
And you can come down here and buy acreage with a house that's even better for 2 to 3 million. So, we just have this amazing opportunity being the little sister to the Tellurides and the Aspens.
Yeah, and something that also stands out about our market down here too is you got these other mountain towns, Aspen, Breck, all those. Those are really driven just off the winter, but especially in Durango, you got all kinds of summertime activities, rafting, four-wheel drive, all kinds of stuff. The train, yeah. So that helps us defer too from some of these other mountain towns.
Yeah, I'd done a little bit of research on the town. I saw the same thing. I'm like, that's why we're going to talk about second homes with you guys, because I was like, you're totally a second hometown.
Yep.
And it's unique for us because Southwest Colorado is really forgotten about in a lot of aspects as our state. If you think of Colorado, you think of Denver, maybe Breckenridge and all them. But you come into the Southwest, and one thing, why the short-term rentals did so well is we have like Mesa Verde National Park. But people think of it as a stopping point, where now we're seeing this really heavy influence of people coming to live for, half their retirement year in this mountain town, because it's really easy living in the temperature. We don't see the crazy weather, except for this year we had crazy snow similar to California. Not quite as bad.
Yeah.
It's really easy living. So a lot of our second homes are retirees that, want that nice, moderate mountain living.
So do you think that, if they're saying nationwide second home sales are down, do you think that this is going to be kind of going forward? Like this is going to be the trend? Obviously it's market by market, but from what you guys are seeing, or just even what do you guys think?
I don't think in our main county, La Plata, I don't think we'll see it at all. Our inventory is so absolutely low right now. I simply don't see it, and they're definitely doing some building, but our main luxury builders are 3 years out still. So it's not like we're going to get this huge surplus of new inventory being built. And with costs of building right now, no, I don't see it happening.
No, it's definitely low. And I mean, our inventory right now is 3.6 months. Pre-COVID, we were running like 11 months of inventory.
Yeah.
So it's so low. And yeah, our building is, average price per square foot around here is like 400. For a luxury home, you're looking at $750 a square foot. So it doesn't make sense to build when you can buy.
Right. We're seeing the same thing here in LA. I mean, it can, if you go up in the hills, it can cost you like thousands of dollars per square foot to build. It's like, why?
Right.
Blows your mind and start throwing that stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was interesting from like 2016 to like 2018. What I saw a lot of in the luxury market, like the Beverly Hills, things like that, were very boring homes, honestly, super boring. And then the reason being was they made them super boring, but a fantastic floor plan. So people would go in, just remodel it themselves, but they don't have to worry about starting from scratch.
Right.
We sold a house for $8.5 million, and the person gutted it.
Right.
It's like, okay.
What's fun about, in my opinion, we're Western boys. We grew up in the country. Is some of our luxury properties, the house is cool, but you're sitting on maybe, 70, 80, over 100. The largest ranch I ever showed was 800 acres. It had 2 mountains on the property, and it was a $6 million home. The home was decent, but you're buying this whole landscape. And
Right.
we tour our properties on horseback and in a foiler. We've hired helicopters to come out and do it, and it's just
That's awesome.
very unique to our area because it's the Wild West in a sense.
Yeah, I mean that's why we love being here,
Yeah.
Colorado. We like to have acreage. So
Yeah, I don't blame you.
especially
Here
with
you can get a postage stamp and it'll still cost you $800. Like it's
yeah, a lot of these lots that we really like, because some of these luxury homes are running 40 to 80 acres, and that's a primo spot for somebody to be in.
Yeah. So I wonder for the second home market if it's going to be one of those where it's going to slow down, but it's only going to slow down in areas where you can't get, we'll call a special property,
Right.
right? You're not going to just buy a second home for shits and giggles because it's like in the heart of LA. It's like, well, that doesn't really make sense. Go spend the money and go to the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
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 And we're so based around, I think lifestyle and secondary homes really go hand in hand, especially
Right.
in the market. So when you're buying these properties, you're not just buying, like we're downtown. I have the opportunity to live a very unique outdoorsy lifestyle. And not to brag on Colorado or anything, but we're the healthiest state in the nation. So
yeah, you gotta hike everywhere. You
Yeah.
gotta go to the back of your property. It's gonna take you a couple hours.
Exactly. So, and that's a really big driving factor for our secondary homes is they want to be able to live a unique lifestyle, whether it's being able to mountain bike, even have hunting property, because some of our large properties that are luxury, you're going to go out and either outfit and guide on it or hunt for yourself. And that's something really unique to us as well that causes this secondary home because you're coming up here for the experience of having your property you can hunt on or something like that.
So do you see a lot of like big time CEOs, big time execs like, hey, we need a second home? Because we're saying we're when you define second home, you think, okay, it's literally just a second home to hang out in. But I wonder from a corporate perspective, hey, we bought this property, we're gonna have a corporate retreat.
I would say that we're on the lighter end of that. There definitely is. Sometimes we say Durangos where people come to hide. We do know some larger companies that it's more a family property that own. It's really hush hush. We know it doesn't get out there. We say people coming here to hide a little bit, but we don't see.
Oh, sorry.
The NDA would stop us from telling you. And we've had a few. One of our largest clients ever is a very well-known tech CEO, but again, like you wouldn't even know he's the CEO, and he made it very important to us that let's not talk about that. That's not why we're here.
Right.
So no, and I think that's probably one of our bigger differences from like the Tellurides, the Aspens, where they want to show who they are, and here, like their bike on the back of their Subaru is worth more than their Subaru, but they've got a couple million in the bank.
Yeah.
I love those types of people.
Oh, 100%.
Us too.
Yeah. I've had clients that are in the same boat. There's a difference between being wealthy and being rich.
Right.
And there's something about people who wanting to be flashy, and that's okay if it works for them. God bless them. But then you have these other people that look, I'm wealthy, I've built wealth. And so they're buying these second homes because it's good for investment. It's good just to park their money.
Yep. And a lot of them, they want to bring their families. I mean, that's the first thing they talk about when we bring when they come and tour in houses, like, oh, we want to bring our grandkids here. Oh, one guy, his sister was going to live in the house full time while he lived out of state. So
interesting. Are you seeing a pickup generally during like close to the holidays? People are like, oh crap, I really want a second home to celebrate, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever.
The way our market works, because we are primarily a ski town, so people are going to be here December, January, and they're going to catch the bug of wanting to live in a ski town, and then spring hits and they call us to come actually look at property. They're up here enjoying it, but because they fell in love with it, once the weather clears and they can look at property, the spring market floods in. And like this year where we had crazy snowfall, it did slow us down a little bit, and we're just starting to see our true spring inventory starting to come back. When like last year, it was a month or two ago. And actually our best month was February last year. Yeah. So it's a unique deal, but we don't see the movement in the winter market. We see the prep because people understand it. Sellers understand, hey, we need to start talking to realtors in December, January, so we can be listed in February, March and sell in the spring and summer.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. I mean, and again, it makes sense. I think it's going to be a combination of why people are buying these second homes, right? Versus maybe in the past, It was like, look, the market's super hot, interest rates are super low. Let's just buy it and park it.
Right.
Yep. That means something to be said, maybe if you are looking at some of these areas where you are seeing reduction in that, if you got the money, it might be a good time to sweep in and get you a place you want on the beach or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think that buying a second home can be useful and most people I know that own second homes rarely go. There's
Right.
one I know, he owns in New York. To his credit, he goes all the time. But yeah, it's kind of like, okay, well, why buy the second home versus the just getting a hotel? So then you start going to the Airbnb, but you're right, like here in LA, it has to be your primary residence 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yeah, exactly.
For your
Mhm.
for your second home market, how bad did the taxing on the mansions affect you guys, or is going to affect you? Because I mean, that's the
Wait till
buzz.
you get in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're talking about news here. Yeah, it's yeah, for those watching, anything between 5 million and let's call it 10 million, you're going to get an additional transfer tax of 4%. And then anything over 10 million is going to be a 5.5% tax. So for example, we had sold a home for 9.6 million in 2019. That means he has to sell for about 10.3 million just to break even.
Mm.
So yeah, it's going eventually to work itself out, right? Because you think practically any person who buys a house is automatically, we'll call it underwater, because if they were to sell, they'd have to pay commissions and closing costs.
Right.
So now it's just like, okay, it's going to take a little bit longer, but that's only for the city of Los Angeles. That's not for Beverly Hills, Burbank, Pasadena, some of these West Hollywood. So we'll probably start seeing, especially for the second home market, is either they'll buy in LA and just know, hey, look, it just is what it is, but we're going to keep this home forever, so it doesn't matter, right? So they'll be able to weather that, or they're just going to buy in a surrounding city.
Right.
So that's probably my guess is what they'll be pushing more towards the surrounding cities, the Beverly Hills, because Beverly Hills is really in the heart of LA.
Right.
It's not like you're really driving out. Even Santa Monica, which is right on the beach. So if you want to live right on the beach, go buy a home for 5, 7, 10 million.
Right. Absolutely.
But you're right, it is going to play a factor. I have a client who has a second home here, and his home's only worth 3.5, maybe 3.8 million tops. But I told him, like, you may want to consider selling now.
Yep.
Right. Because that's going to trickle down. Someone who's looking to buy a house for 4.8 million is going to be like, well, it's going to appreciate to 5 million at some point.
Yep. And if he's going to need to put that money somewhere else, so surrounding areas they're gonna feel the effect of people moving their money out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It will be super interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
It's definitely a unique thing. And as always, California is the forefront of unique things happening in all markets. So it's wild. And in Colorado, we haven't seen it. Our state tax for real estate did go up for the first time in a couple of years. But it's like if you owned a $300,000 house, you're probably going to pay an extra $20 a year.
Yeah.
So it's such a nominal amount. We don't have these numbers like California, especially in these smaller markets.
Well, yours is it. When you mean by went up, are you talking about percentage wise or just dollar wise?
Percentage wise, and like on like the $300,000 home, it's going to equivalent to about $20. So whatever that breaks down percentage.
We have as a lot of people know, we have super low tax anyways.
Especially when you get the shock of like Texas real estate, where their property taxes are insane. They come up to Colorado, and it's
a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and it's a huge selling point for us. Be like, hey, you can live here, and your taxes are going to be almost nothing. And because of the communities we live in, if you can get an agricultural tax on your land, it's really almost zero.
Explain the agricultural tax, because as you can imagine, here in California, we don't have much.
So we definitely have a lot of agriculture, and our one smaller market, the Montezuma County, it's still primarily an agricultural area. And if your land is zoned agricultural or mixed use with agricultural in it, your taxes are way greatly reduced just because it's an incentivized opportunity for agriculture to maintain and grow. It's a great big part of our economy. So, it incentivizes the use of property for agricultural.
And it can be as simple as you own 10 acres. It seems like a lot for a lot of people, but out here, it's really not a whole lot. And you could have 2 horses and a cow, and then your property taxes are reduced by a lot.
And who doesn't want like a cow and a couple horses?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Live in the country lifestyle.
And it's great because it's a reason that we see a lot of investors in the second homes, because these luxury second homes, some of them are owned agricultural. And if they are, then what's better than having this great luxury home,
200 acres.
200 acres, and you're paying nominal taxes compared to most everywhere in the nation?
Does having a winery count?
I would
imagine,
have
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
We
I've always
have
wanted to have a winery.
we have one canyon here. It's at the edge of one of our markets, and it's a lot lower elevation. It's the only place they have wineries in our area. So there's one.
Colorado's not quite known for that. Microbreweries, on the other hand, we've got a million.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can get all the IPAs you want in Colorado.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, we have some of that. Obviously, we have the wineries, we have a little bit of everything, but that's also interesting because that might change people's perspectives on if they want a second home, where do they go?
Right.
Right. Yep. We offer some different things you don't see in a lot of these other markets.
Right. But even going to, to your point, going to Utah and going to Park City, Utah, it's like, yeah, you can go skiing and stuff, but that might be more for those who want to say, hey, I have a second home in Park City, Utah. It's not, hey, yeah, we have a second home, but it's just really for our family, not realizing it could be 200 acres and have a cow and having all those great things.
The only drawback, I'd say, and we saw it when the COVID boom happened, is we saw these people flocking to rural Colorado and buying these luxury homes. But then they would get down here, and after a month, when they realize they can't go to the mall, or we don't have that many fast food restaurants, or dining, they leave. They want to go back to the convenience of the city.
Yeah.
Because even in La Plata County and in Durango, in the heart of it, it has some of those things, but
it's a small town feel still.
It's still that small town vibe. And if that's not your thing, you're going to struggle a little bit, or you're going to just come here for your vacations and stay in the city when you want to live, your normal life.
That makes sense. We saw a lot of that during the pandemic. People were leaving places like New York, going down to Florida, and all of a sudden there's reports of people going back to New York.
Yeah.
And it's like they miss the nightlife, they miss the city, they miss the culture.
Yeah.
Or I should say different culture, because every place has their own culture. So you're right. So maybe it just becomes more of, hey, I'm just going to come here on occasion.
Yep.
Yeah. And then if you bought it in the right spot, you just roll it into, I'll short-term rental it when I'm not here.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's
how do people manage their properties if it's second homes?
We have a couple great property management companies.
Interesting. Okay.
The ski resort, Purgatory Ski Resort, actually has a few right on the resort that help manage and kind of become a full concierge service for you. A lot of people are buying these condos for maybe, let's say, 700 up to $1 million, and they're staying there for 3 weeks when they do their ski trips with their family. And then, short-term renting out the rest of the time. It was just, people had the foresight, made it convenient, say, let's walk down to the pro shop at the ski resort, sign up for the short-term rental and leave. Yeah. Really easy. Those people know what's going on.
And it was embraced.
And 100% embraced.
Got it. Okay. So as long as there's, convenience, places to do. So, So I think if we had to summarize this, we could wrap it up. Yes, second homes are down, but it's down because people are going back to work. It's because maybe they thought they wanted one experience and ended up getting something else, but it's not necessarily going to go away.
Right. And every market's different.
Yeah, every market's different. And the consumer is different. I do think we're starting to see this millennial crowd come in, and they have a very different mindset on what they want to put their money towards, and especially the wealthy ones for these second homes, than past generations.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, people also want like an Instagrammable moment.
Exactly. And we are Instagrammable here.
It didn't have
very Instagrammable.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
So our social media is really easy. It's all thehamiltonbrothersteam.com or the Hamilton Brothers Team on social, like Instagram and YouTube. We have a website with the same name, and our number's on there. But if you want to get us right away, call us. My number is 970-749-1973, and we'll get you taken care of.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And we'll talk to you soon. Good luck with the second homes.
Thanks, man.
All right.